Welcome back, everybody. In this video, our focus is going to be lesson number 48. And in lesson number 48, we're just continuing the arpeggios that we've been getting accustomed to, or just the idea of playing an arpeggio or a finger picking pattern with our right hand, while our left hand simply holds down a chord. Now, in lesson 48, there is a third voice that is introduced. So you have a top voice now, which is the quarter rest followed by the 3/4 notes, the high E. You have your middle voice, which is the 16th note rest. That's a new note value, which is just a 16th note value rest. If that makes any sense. So you have your 16th note rest followed by your 3 other 16th notes, which would make up the 4 groups of 16th note values. And then you have that throughout. So 16th note rest followed by 3 16th notes, and then again and again and again and again. So that's your middle voice. And then your bottom voice is just one note each measure. It's a whole note, and it's just your bass note, and that's the one that you play with your thumb throughout. Your picking pattern changes. Thumb, P-I-M-I, A-I-M-I. P-I-M-I, A-I-M-I. You want to make sure that your ring finger is the loudest note out of all of the notes that you play. And you can practice this by playing the pattern without playing the notes with your left hand. And we've talked about this numerous times. So you're isolating the right hand and focusing on something specific. And in this instance, we're going to focus on making one particular finger, the ring finger, louder than all of the others. So we start by doing this slowly so that we don't practice anything incorrectly. So we're gonna play, let's see, our thumb plays the 5th string, index plays the 3rd, middle plays the 2nd, and then of course our ring finger plays the 1st. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna make sure the ring finger is loud, all of the other fingers, plus the thumb, are quiet. And we wanna exaggerate. So whereas you would play the exercise or the lesson something like this, you are now going to play the exercise like this. Oops. See how I'm exaggerating? There is a huge disparity in volume between the top voice, which is the note that you play with your ring finger, and all of the others. And that's really important that you practice it that way so you can start to hear and get a sense of what it sounds like when one note is on top of the others or louder than the others. You can actually practice this not just by making the ring finger louder, but you can also practice it by making the middle finger louder and all of the other fingers quiet. Or make the index finger louder and all of the other fingers quiet. Or even make your thumb the loudest and all of the others quiet. So here's, let's just do the index finger. I kind of messed up at the end as I was going to be saying something when I finished. You can also make the middle finger the loudest. Oops. Of course the thumb. It's pretty simple. Obviously you would practice it much slower than the way I'm demonstrating it, but that's exactly what you would practice if you want to gain even more control and a more solid grasp over your right hand. And it's something you do regularly. It's not just you do it once and say, okay, I got it, it's done, I never have to practice it again. No. It's something you have to do on a regular basis. If not every day, every few days. And it's not something that you, like I said, it's not something you master and you're done. It's always going to be something that you need to revisit. Even if you have it down, even if you know you got it, and even if when you practice it, it's good, just keep doing that so that you never lose that ability to never lose that skill set, I guess you could say, but you just maintaining that skill level, because it does degrade if you don't practice. Okay, so let's see, we went over the 3 voices, we went over the new note, the 16th, the new note value, which is your 16th note rest. We went over making sure the ring was louder than the, okay, one more thing. Now, I want to play it for you a couple of times. The first time I'm going to play it very straight. And well, let's see if you can hear the difference between the 2 ways that I play it. So I'm going to play I'll do the first 4 measures. So just listen in. Okay, that sounds good. It sounds accurate. I made the ring finger louder. It was steady tempo. Everything was solid. Now I'm going to play it again, but this time I'm going to toy around with, I know I was going to ask you if you could tell the difference, but I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to toy around with the tempo. Every measure, I'm going to start a little bit slower and then build up to the tempo that I was just playing in. And it'll happen every measure. I want to see if you can hear that. Here we go. Now, hopefully you noticed how I was slowing down initially. Well, not slowing down, but I was starting at a slower tempo and gradually arrived at the tempo of the piece. And I did it in every measure, so you can hear it. You obviously don't have to do it in every measure, but it does sound nice. We're just playing with the tempo a little bit to make it sound a bit more musical. And you could do it for every measure or just the first measure, and maybe, you know what? Either every measure or just the first measure. And it'll sound nice. It gives the music, I mentioned this in the past in another lesson, but it gives the music some life. It's not just notes on a page, because a computer could play that, right? We're not computers, so we're going to add a human element to the notes that are written on the page. I was also very slightly, I noticed it as I was playing, every measure, when I would start at a slower tempo and gradually get to the tempo, I would ever so slightly play a little bit softer and a very small crescendo to the tempo. So I was kind of doing 2 things. See if you can hear it again. That's also going to make the lesson sound more like music, sound more like a piece of music as opposed to just a lesson. And this is something that's going to take a long time for you to master. It's not something that's just going to come immediately. And if it does, you are very lucky to be able to do that. But with time, that will become something that becomes automatic. So practice the lesson. You've heard it more or less. I'm not sure if I played the whole thing, but you know what it sounds like now. So go ahead and practice it. And when you're ready, just move on to lesson 49, and I'll see you there.